Welcome. Start off with the consideration of the approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
We'll call the roll.
Lumley,
Aye.
Friesman.
Aye.
Pittman,
Aye.
Knighton.
Aye.
Next off, then we have the approval of the minutes from the April 26th and May 1st meetings. Any questions on those minutes?
So move.
Second.
Comments? Call the roll.
Friesman,
Aye.
Pittman,
Aye.
Knighton,
Aye.
Lumley.
Aye.
Next up, we have consideration of the approval of the consent calendar. Does anybody have any questions on the consent calendar?
I do want to make a comment on the item on there for all of the liquor licenses for the chamber. Those are for all the party in the park events. The ABD came back and said that getting an 8-month license was not going to cut it for what they wanted to do down there. So they need to resubmit now and put in, like, is it 5 different ones? So that's why that's on there, in case you're wondering what those are for.
Or party in the parks on the 4th of July.
I believe so. Yep.
And the chamber is doing that as
Yes.
opposed to Main Street.
Yeah, well, it used to be pub crawlers are not
Yeah, I know.
doing that anymore. So
It's truly the chamber.
I believe that's who submitting it. I believe, yes.
So, because the other event, I mean, Party in the Park is Main. I mean, I know their executive committees were meeting to decide how they wanted to do that for
Okay.
sure. So,
Yeah, because I haven't seen them yet. They haven't. I'm just getting them approved now. So once they submit them and we get all the paperwork in line, then we can go ahead and approve them because that first one's coming up pretty quick. So I threw it on tonight just so it was good to go. So to be honest, they haven't been submitted yet. So
Probably easier to get it just as one name than to try to.
I wanted to get it for like a year or a long
Right.
period of time because they could
Right.
do other events too.
But with the fourth being such a big deal, it doesn't surprise me that chamber would take the,
mhm.
kind of take the lead.
I mean, it doesn't make it, for us, the big deal was they were trying to figure out who was going to do the work.
Mm.
And so Main Street has 4 events, Chamber only has 1 event, but that's their problem,
Right.
not ours.
Right.
Right. So anyway,
So
I just
we are
wanted to
approving
point
that
that
even
out.
though we don't have it.
and I do that a lot of times just so it's done, it's approved when we meet only twice a month in that way. Cause I mean, I check all the paperwork when they submit it and make sure they're inspected and all of that. So everything is in order when I approve it, but you guys have already approved it pending receipt of all the proper paperwork. Does that make sense? So
Okay. Any other questions on that?
So move.
Second.
Call the roll.
Pittman,
Aye.
Knighton,
Aye.
Lumley,
Aye.
Friesman.
Aye.
Right. This of the mayor, we have a Poppy Day proclamation. Mary, do you want to go up to the stand and introduce yourselves and tell us what you got going?
Hey, good evening. I'm Belle McDonald and this is Mary Newberry. Hello. We represent Shannon Wilson within the unit of 174 American Legion Auxiliary. We are here asking to proclaim Friday, May 26th as Poppy Day here in Charles City.
Any other? We'll be out and about that day selling poppies, I'm assuming,
Not selling, we actually offer them.
offering them.
Mhm.
But you will accept donations, I'm
Yes, we
guessing.
do, definitely.
Very good. Any questions for the ladies?
Oh, it's a very wonderful program. I
Mhm.
would be happy to move to approve the proclamation.
I would second that.
Thank you.
We raise, a lot of money for our veterans, so yeah, we thank the city.
All right, well, clerk will call the roll and then I'll come down and read the proclamation.
Knighton,
Aye.
Lumley,
Aye.
Friesman.
Aye.
Pittman.
Aye.
All right. I do this so
Jerry
people
isn't-
can see us. Let's turn this around a little bit. Maybe that'll work.
Perfect. There you go.
You spoke too soon.
I was just giving him credit for the camera.
All right, we'll just ignore that clutter behind us, so. Whereas America is the land of freedom, preserved and protected willingly and freely by citizen soldiers. And whereas millions who have answered the call to arms have died on the field of battle. And whereas a nation at peace must be reminded of the price of war and the debt owed to those who have died in war. And whereas the red poppy has been designated as a symbol of sacrifice of lives in all wars. And whereas the American Legion Auxiliary has pledged to remind America annually of this debt through the distribution of the memorial flower. Now, therefore, I, Dean Andrews, Mayor of Charles City, Iowa, do hereby proclaim Friday, May 26, 2023 as Poppy Day in Charles City. And I ask that all citizens pay tribute to those who have made the ultimate sacrifice of freedom by wearing the memorial poppy on this day. So thank you for doing this. Like I say, it's always a good reminder of those who have paid a very high price for the freedom that we enjoy today, whether we're in wartime or not in wartime. We know we've been in plenty of wars, and those people have given a lot of sacrifice to give us what we have today. So thank you for doing this. So, and I'll give you my donation to for my poppy. So maybe it can be donation number one, but you probably got some donations already. So, but thank you very much. And I will give you that. And yes, good luck on your Friday distribution day.
Hey, Mayor, you click on that screen, there's like a little window on that computer. Can you click OK on that?
All right, next up then we have a reconsideration of the street closure request for the Rotary Car Show on July 15th. Jessica, you want to give us an update or just, I know we've talked about this before and this is just kind of reapproving your request. I know you made a little bit of a alteration.
A little bit, yeah. So on July 15th, the Charles City Rotary Club will do a car show in correspondence with the Christmas in July that the Main Street shops do. We want to close Main Street from Riverside to Ferguson. We're going to pull the cars in front onto Main Street through Ferguson intersection. We'll take their pictures and then we'll shuffle them down Main Street to Park so that people can stroll up and down Main to enjoy them like they did last year.
So they will come on Ferguson rather than through that parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Questions?
This is probably a question more so for Brian. Do we have any idea or time frame on when the parking project will start behind Union House? Does anybody have an idea of that?
Scheduled to get let bid later in the meeting, and so it's supposed to be completed this fall.
Do you think this might be a conflict with that? If we stretch it all the way down the Riverside?
July 15th.
That's what I'm wondering.
Even just,
I mean, it's an outside chance.
even if it's going, though, would it really be a conflict?
Well, I mean, how are you
Main
gonna,
Street?
if you,
Traffic.
you won't be able to get, shut that one section, a block of Main off.
Well,
right
Clark
there.
Street, you can still go across Clark Street,
Well,
across Main on Clark Street.
I thought they said they were gonna stop it at Riverside.
They are, but they're gonna leave Clark Street open.
Yeah,
Oh, they are.
yeah,
Okay,
we did
all right.
Rivers.
Okay.
Yeah, that was.
We did Riverside to Clark and then the other side of Clark to Ferguson. Is what we
Clark
did. So
Street.
that way there's
Yes,
through
but-
traffic. Mhm.
But on Main Street, if you're coming from Main Street, say you come over the bridge and it's cut off right there. And if you have that parking project going along, curve or Riverside that goes into Jackson, that may be an issue.
You just have to make a right turn rather than a left turn. Make a right turn and go by the hairstyling salon.
Okay.
Well, and if it is going on and that is a big problem, we can always take Kelly too, because we're closing off Main Street, so nobody can come down Kelly anyway.
Mhm.
So if that is a big concern at that time, we can always come up to Clark and then just take Kelly Main to Jackson on Kelly. So if that is a big concern too.
Jessica, I really want to thank you for your flexibility in this and for coming back in to answer questions. I know
Absolutely.
at our planning session, you had mentioned that, that last block of Ferguson, as they are, taking pictures of the cars, if anyone needed access to something there at the end of that block, you'd be
Oh, absolutely.
more than
Yeah.
willing to help them
Nope.
with that and everything.
Even with deliveries, like if FedEx needed to get to Rustic Corner or to the chamber, we have no problem letting them in and out. That is not a problem. It's just to keep the community
General
from
traffic,
driving.
yeah.
Yeah. It's to control traffic.
Okay. And nothing will be on the sidewalk there in that last block either.
Correct.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions?
No, I'd echo Phoebe's comments. I appreciate the flexibility.
Absolutely.
And this is turning out to be a very nice event for the community and members of the community, and the flexibility that you've shown. I think we'll have to, as we get closer, we may have to, you guys will have to make some modifications.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And we knew when we knew this was coming, that was a question that we had, but not really knowing the time frame of that project, we're like, we might as well ask and then reconsolidate if that's an inconvenience. So
Next year, you'll be in the same boat because we'll be resurfacing Main Street. So
thanks for that heads up.
it'll be a very big,
So we are moving it somewhere else. Got it.
yeah, you might want to take that into
Thanks
consideration.
for- I will put that in my notes. Thank you. Yeah.
We need a motion to,
Not so
I-
move.
Second.
any other comments, if anyone?
Can I make a comment?
Right ahead.
I hear about praising her about her flexibility, but she's being flexible on the other end, it sounds like, but still closing the 400 block.
Correct. Correct, but it'll be closed, but it will be accessible. If anybody needs to get into that block, they'll make accommodations to let you into that block.
You're more than welcome to show up that morning and park your vehicle right in front of your building. That is not a big, we are fine with that.
I think they've tried to make accommodations to, not only you, Ryan, but also anybody on that block that has any business concerns that day, just let them know and they'll make it work for you.
I'd rather just stayed open. Like I said at the other meeting, but
Okay. Any other comments? Clerk will call the roll.
Lumley,
Aye.
Friesman.
Aye.
Pittman.
Aye.
Knighton.
Aye.
All right, thank you for your presentation. Thank you for all the comments.
Yep. Okay, and then just keep in touch with me about the Jackson Street project, the parking project, and we'll do what we need to do.
Ryan, if you have any concerns, just, I'm sure Jessica will take care of you. I say if Ryan has concerns, just let you know.
yeah, with my experience with Jessica so far, it doesn't tell me that, but thank you.
All right, thanks. Now we're talking another street closure, which is actually a parking lot closure for the bike rodeo. Anybody here for the bike rodeo tonight?
Did Dwayne send you? Okay, if you want to come up, then yeah, do the best you can. You'll do fine.
All they got is, they submitted a request to close the city parking lot in front of Hot Shots Bar in order for us to host the annual bike rodeo. The night shift officers are gonna close the parking lot at approximately 2 o'clock in the morning or after Hot Shots is closed and everybody's cleared the parking lot. All parties have been contacted in reference to this closure. Bike rodeo runs from 10:30 or 10 to 11:30 AM the next morning. And we're anticipating to reopen the parking lot around noon.
They
And I
have
got-
talked to Hot Shots. That would be the main person.
Yeah, I think. everybody's been-
I'm sure he doesn't have a tournament going on that day.
How many years has this been in that parking lot? It's quite a number, isn't it?
I have no idea.
I think it's the first year in that.
First year. I
First
think.
year, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
If I can remember, I
middle
thought they did.
school.
the-
I'm gonna
that's right, that's
miss
right.
seeing it right beside my house. It was always exciting watching the
Forgot about
kids
that.
out there.
I was thinking it had been down here before. Maybe it was a long time ago.
Then they had, thank you for the time and support of this event.
Worked many years with the Kiwanis Club at the middle school.
I'd so move to approve it.
Second.
Any other questions, comments?
No, this is yet another annual tradition in Charles City that, you know, really makes an impact to the younger kids that may not have the financial ability to afford a bike or a basic helmet to be safe with. So I'm really appreciative of you guys continuing this tradition and keeping it going. Very much appreciated.
Anybody else? Call the roll.
Reisman.
Aye.
Pittman.
Aye.
Knighton.
Aye.
Lumley.
All
All right, good to go.
Thank you.
Thanks. You did good.
Next, then we have a public hearing for the 401 North Main parking lot project. So we'll open that hearing and we have affidavit of publication.
Yes, Your Honor.
Have anybody received any written comments?
I have not. Steve,
Uh,
Brian, did you receive any?
Any oral comments tonight?
Move to close the hearing.
Second.
Clerk will call the roll.
Pittman.
Aye.
Knighton.
Aye.
Lumley.
Aye.
Reisman.
Aye.
Then we will consider resolution 4623, which is approving the final plans and specs. Discussion there, Brian?
The preliminary plans were approved at April 17th. There's one addendum for this project. It clarified who was in charge of staking and if there's this project. And it was included in the packet. Well, tonight for you. With that, I recommend approving resolution 4623, approving the final plans and specifications. The 4-lane North Main parking lot.
Comments or questions for Brian?
Other than that addendum, no other
That was all.
changes to it. Move for approval.
Second.
Call the roll.
Knighton.
Aye.
Lumley.
Aye.
Reisman.
Aye.
Pittman.
Aye.
Then we'll move on to resolution 4723, which is actually awarding the contract for this project. And Brian, you want to cover that?
We received 6 total bids for this project on last Thursday. 2 were not open because they did not include their bid security. And the low bidder was Larry Elwood Concrete out of Mason City. $55,250.50. Recommend approval of resolution 4723 awarding
He just pushed the door.
our contract and bond for Larry Elwood for the North Main parking lot project.
Any questions on this part for Brian?
Larry done work over here before.
I was just gonna ask.
I think so. He's,
I'm not sure they've done anything for the city itself, but I know they do a lot of work all over.
I mean,
engineer's bid was, estimate was 75,000 and the city administrator's budget was 100, so numbers came in very well.
Good, we'll use them on the next next project.
Yeah, that's right. Don't spend it yet. We will expect that.
yeah, I always like to ask if they've done work around and, you know, again, kind of like the other night with references and things like that.
think they're a pretty established company out of Mason
Yeah,
City, aren't
they
they?
are, right.
Mhm.
It seemed, John, do you recall? It seems like we had them do something at some point here in the not too distant past, but
Yeah, I know they've done a lot of private work. They've bid on our projects before, but I don't recall, Elwood Construction actually being a low bidder. Now, I've worked with Larry Elwood before when I was, worked in Mason City. I mean, they've been around for a long time. They do good work.
Any other questions?
Move to approve.
Second.
Almost second that before she got the move out.
I knew her.
Clerk will call the roll.
Lumley.
Aye.
Friesman.
Aye.
Pittman.
Aye.
Knighton.
Aye.
Right, and that project will start in August after the festivities are done a lot at the Chamber and Main Street, so.
Correct.
All right, then we'll move on to another public hearing, this one for the 2023 water looping project. And so we'll open that hearing and we have the affidavit of publication.
Yes, Your Honor.
Anybody received any written comments on this one?
I have not. Steve, Brian, did you get any?
only comments I've received is from Zoetis as we've been leading up to this, wanting to know how soon this will happen. So they're very eager to have that looped. I will say that, but nothing on the bid itself.
Any public comments tonight?
Move to close the hearing.
Second.
Clerk will call the roll.
Friesman.
Aye.
Pittman.
Aye.
Knighton.
Aye.
Lumley.
Aye.
All right, so then we will consider resolution 4823, which is approving the final plans and the specifications for this project. Ryan?
The preliminary plans were approved on April 17th. There were no addendums, so the final plans and specifications are identical to the preliminary plans that were previously approved. Recommend approving resolution 4823, approving final plans and specifications for the Southwest Water Main Looping Project.
Couple questions on this. So we estimated 350,000, that's coming in at 405. Question number one is that reflective of material, labor?
Yes.
Okay.
And that'll probably be for the next resolution
Okay,
when we talk about the awarding the bid.
Okay.
This is just to approve the plans.
got it.
This is basically taking another main from Highway 14 down to was it 11th Street?
Yeah.
Down and kind of running along the trail back in there. So, move to approve.
Second.
Any other comments, questions on the plans? We'll call the roll.
Pittman.
Aye.
Knighton.
Aye.
Lumley.
Aye.
Friesman.
Aye.
Then we'll move on to resolution 4923, which is actually awarding the contract. And Brian, any comments there?
Well, we received 3 bids for the project. The low bidder was GM Contracting out of Lake Crystal, Minnesota. They did provide information as far as projects they completed in the past. Contacted City of Des Moines, which is one of them. They were wishing that they'd come that far south more often. So. And the engineer's estimate, this was originally done quite a while ago for the estimate. And we updated it partially for current prices, but current prices are evidently quite a bit higher than that. A little bit was 405,000 and 500. And with that, recommend approving resolution 4923, awarding bid and approving contract and bond Southwest Water Main Looping Project to GM Contracting.
Do you have any other questions?
No, I'm looking at the overall cost, so I'm just trying to figure out. They came in almost 80,000 lower. Than Pope. That's really, I'm looking at it right. More material as well.
The question.
The difference between, it's almost $80,000 difference between what Pope bid and, the low bid. I'm just trying to figure out the 83,000 difference there.
Actually, most of it's in the cost of the water main. It's
Yeah.
a
That's,
big difference there.
that's, that's where they seem to 150 unit price compared to basically 100.
Do these guys do a lot of water type work? That's all they do, so they may
Those,
have some pipe that's,
They do some
Huge.
street reconstruction as well, but
If they're doing work for Des Moines, I mean,
if they've got pipe laying in their yard, they may not have to go out and buy it like
Right.
somebody else may have to, which
Mhm.
I don't know. But that'd be one explanation for
Yep.
lower cost.
Thank you.
$100,000 of difference in that one bid, just for the pipe.
And then their mobilization is,
Mhm.
4 times what some of the other ones are, so
Yeah,
that
they-
makes sense because they're
they
coming
come
from
from
further. right?
Minnesota, yeah. Yep. We're sure gonna get a deal on that asphalt repair though.
I would move to approve.
Second,
Any other comments, questions?
guess I'll just comment if we just had the other two bids, I'd be concerned about a little bit more concerned about the ability to move forward on the project, but because we are over the estimate what we initially budgeted, but I think we'll be fine with where we're at, 405. Our other associated costs that we've had so far with getting this project off the ground, so.
Any other comments?
I'm glad we got a bid we can go with and get this project up and running since we've been talking about it and needs to be done.
We'll call the roll.
Knighton,
Aye.
Lumley,
Aye.
Friesman,
Aye.
Pittman,
Aye.
All right, then we'll have public hearing number 3, this one on the fiscal year 23 budget amendments. We'll open that hearing and we have affidavit of publication.
yes, Your Honor.
Any written comments from anyone?
I did not get any. You get any, Steve?
I did not.
How about any oral comments tonight of anybody?
move to close the hearing.
Second.
We'll call the roll.
Lumley,
Aye.
Friesman.
Aye.
Pittman.
Aye.
Knighton.
Aye.
Then consider resolution 5023, which is approving that fiscal year 23 budget amendment. And Judy, you want to fill us in? I think
Yeah.
we've talked about this before, but
We have, the main reasons for this amendment is changes in timelines of projects. We're not necessarily spending any more money. We're just changing the period that we're spending it in. So it's hard to get a handle on those projects. Sometimes you think you're going to get farther along than what you do. So that's the main reason for this. We were also fortunate enough to get some grants. And so when we have to add those expenditures in, that causes the budget to go up as well. There was some work done out at the CVTC for some overhead doors and some grates to be replaced out there. So a lot of little things came together, but the biggest thing was the changes in the timelines of the project. So it seems to always throw us.
I know I shouldn't do this, but I'm going, memory, the total change was about 1.2 million
I
and a
believe so.
little over 1 million was in all the contract stuff that you just talked
Yep,
about.
the
Okay.
projects, correct.
any other questions?
Move for approval.
Second.
Second.
We'll call the roll.
Friesman,
Aye.
Pittman,
Aye.
Knighton,
Aye.
Lumley.
Aye.
Right, next up, then we have resolution 5123, which is awarding a contract for the Morningside and the Public Housing Office roof replacement project. Katie discussed this the other night. Do we have any updates today?
Well, I know her and Brian talked some about the
I did look into
roofing bid.
some of their references for low bidder for the roofing. I talked to Spawn Rose out of Cresco. Alan Timms is their largest roofing contractor by quite a bit there out of that store. And they have not had any problems with them. And they're very
Thanks for checking on that. Any other comments on the roofing project?
Move to approve the acceptance of Allen Timms Roofing.
Not second.
Further comments? Call the roll.
Pittman,
Aye.
Knighton,
Aye.
Lumley,
Aye.
Friesman.
Aye.
All right, then next is 5223 resolution, and that's awarding the contract for the North Cedar Terrace window replacement project. Brian, any comments on this one? I think Katie was recommending the Isaacson Construction.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
the Marvin Essential windows. I know they got two, they got alternate bid for one for Pella windows, one for the Marvin Essential windows and excuse me. The Marvin Essential bid was their preferred bid for 171.10.
Okay, well, the resolution says has the 178 number on it. Which would be the Pella window, I believe.
Yeah, the last line in that paragraph right under the numbers. So it is, it's recommended the council approve the bid from Isaacson
Mhm.
for 178,863.33.
Yep.
Sting, I apologize. Yeah,
Mhm.
you're right.
I was thinking there was something that they wanted to go with that higher because of the Pella windows over the Marvin windows. From what he said the other night.
I know I remember talking about both, but for some reason I thought we were happy with the Marvin ones, but maybe that's not the case.
I had thought it was the Marvin ones
Yeah,
that she
that was
wanted
my
as well.
notes.
I was thinking she had those done in her own house and was satisfied with them, but I thought their committee had said they wanted the Pella. But here, we don't know, then I don't think we should approve it.
Yeah, I
Or
agree
do
with that.
anything.
I agree.
I mean, I was thinking she wanted to go with the Pella ones too, because I asked her that, and I said,
Okay.
how come we're not taking that low bid of 170? And she had said, well, I just got that as an alternate bid. So I understood it that it was also the 170 for the Pellas is what I understood it. But if there is some, we're not sure, we can always, you know, I mean, I don't know.
If there's any doubt, we probably better not approve one and then have to come back and change it.
Right, right.
You said Pella.
What's
You
that?
sent her a message.
Yeah.
So she did say.
She had a scheduling conflict tonight, so she couldn't be here. But she's texting back that it was the Pella.
Okay.
And I've got comment bubbles and she's typing something long, I'm afraid. So it is the Pella windows.
Okay.
Okay, so that 178 is the number.
Since that is the case, I would move to approve that amount with Isaacson.
I would second that.
Any other questions? Call the roll.
Knighton,
Aye.
Lumley,
Aye.
Friesman,
Aye.
Pittman.
Aye.
All right, next is resolution 5323, and we're gonna approve we're asked to approve the Slaker upgrade at the water plant. Corey's here. I even talked about that the other night and I don't know that we need any further description, but any questions anybody has? This was the project that was in the budget, correct?
Yes, sir. Yep, that's next fiscal year.
Approving the purchase now, so this will be the next fiscal year because the Slakers are slacking and getting. Corey
They're
Speaker is
slacking,
speaking on it.
they're slacking.
They're
to get here.
slackers.
It's bad.
3 to 4 month lead time on parts, so.
And everything was about what you thought it would be based on your estimates you put together at the time of budget. So
Yes, sir.
no
Yep.
real big surprises or
No,
changes.
Nope.
I'd move to approve.
Second,
Any other questions, comments? Call the roll.
Lumley,
aye.
Friesman.
Aye.
Pittman.
Aye.
Knighton.
Aye.
Our next resolution is 5423, which is replacement of the sewer cameras. Discussion there. We had that discussion the other night about why this was important. This one is not currently in the
This one is
budget.
not budgeted, nope.
Would be an extra expense.
Yes, sir. Yep, module went down into the sewer camera we have now, we send it in. No replacement available. This is a direct plug and play for the entire system we have now, so just take the spot of the camera that we've lost now, so.
And now it'll be in HD so we can see every detail.
Well, we don't
I
have
saw
to.
that comment even made it into the paper.
Oh,
I did scroll through the summary, but I didn't see any footage on the
Yeah.
summary tonight.
We need to either.
Yep.
Get you some if you want some.
I'll
Get down in there, Mayor.
so move.
Second,
Any other comments?
Who gets to clean it?
The new guy,
You volunteer.
I do not.
you know, how it
Ice
goes.
in the bridge, but I'm not cleaning.
I used to be a new guy.
Clerk will call the roll.
Friesman.
Aye.
Pittman.
Aye.
Knighton.
Aye.
Lumley.
aye.
Thank you.
Yes. Now we have resolution 5523, which is setting the date for a public hearing on the action to enter into a general obligation loan agreement and borrow money not to exceed $525,000. Discussion on this one.
Yes, so this is for our tree removal project in the right of way, and I closed too many windows. But what we're doing tonight is we're setting public hearing for this proposed borrowing. This would be for basically for up to 525,000, 500,000 go towards the actual tree removal and a little bit of sidewalk replacement for the trees that come out through areas that have sidewalk. But the vast majority of it is tree removal. Set up as a draw loan with the intent of using a good half of that here this initial season. And well, I don't know if we can get 2 done in a year or not, but the idea is we get 1 done this summer and the next one next summer to really knock out a large number of those trees that are dying and or dead in the right of way to get those out of there. So like I said, this is set up as a draw loan with the intent of it being placed locally with a local bank. And I think we've got figured in as a 10-year loan, figuring about a 4.5% interest rate as an estimate, but I guess we'll see what that is when we look to place it. So look to pass resolution 5523 to set the public hearing for June 6th, June 5th at 6 p.m. So we can discuss further.
I know that some trees are marked around town. Are all the trees marked or just some of them that need to come down?
I don't know that all of them are marked. I think the ones that are initially gonna be part of the project, this first project are marked, but
Yeah.
is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah, just basically just the phone calls we got in last summer, people calling about dead trees. That's the first 325 we have marked right now.
Okay.
So that's, like Steve said, round 1, and then we'll go out this fall and, get the next round going, so.
Yeah, I was down on Blunt Street the other day way at the end of Blunt Street. There's like 4 or 5 of them on the
Sure.
south side there that they weren't marked. And I was like, okay, maybe they're not all marked. yet,
No.
So, okay. That's why I wanted to ask.
I had a couple of people ask me, some of them on like Washington and Lincoln, there's a couple dead trees. Is that in the city right away, or is that fall under the school jurisdiction? I couldn't answer the question.
It's out. Well, I guess it depends where they're at. I mean,
Okay,
if they're out between the sidewalk and the curb,
there's no sidewalk.
generally where the sidewalk might be.
Sidewalk Should be,
Yeah.
could be.
I think the ones at Washington are. Patrick,
Okay.
I think there's a few farther back in their lot, but majority at Washington are 500 North Grand, Lincoln. Those are all on the list for the next round.
Okay.
With the higher traffic with kids and stuff, so.
Because there's a couple that were marked last year, but that their markings have faded. So, but they haven't been remarked yet, so.
Okay.
I didn't know how to answer the question, so, but I do now.
I think it's good that we went this route of doing this borrowing rather than trying to do this with a little bit of money for the next 15 years or whatever. So this is, I think, will be a much better response for our community to have those trees taken down sooner rather than later.
Mhm.
Because as
they're-
fast as those trees degrade,
Yeah.
it's not gonna take long before you get a lot of limbs coming down different places. I just hope we're doing enough. But
Yeah.
it's at least it's starting at something, so I would move to approve.
Second.
We have a trend going here.
Mhm.
Move. Second.
Mhm.
I'm not gonna sit here all night, so.
Any other questions about trees? Clerk will call the roll.
Pittman.
Aye.
Knighton.
Aye.
Lemley.
Aye.
Friesman.
Aye.
All right, next we have resolution 5623, which is approving the preliminary plans and specs for the and setting a public hearing for the tree removal project that we just financed, put it out for bid. Brian.
Yeah, this sets the public hearing for June 5th for the rebid of the tree project. Very similar to what we set out last time. We made a few minor changes with some things that were doubled up or the measurement was slightly off. Broken down into base bid and 3 alternates, and if all of the base bid has 200 trees and the 3 alternates have 30 to 40 trees each. So if the whole project will be around 320 trees, if all of them are accepted. Bid date is June 1st. And with it being later now, we did push the completion dates back from what they were last time to allow for time for them to complete the project. That look to approve resolution 5623, approving the preliminary plans and setting the public hearing for the 2023 tree removal project to June 5th.
We just pretty much had the discussion on this with the last item, so
I would move to approve.
Second.
any other comments? Call the roll.
Knighton.
Aye.
Lemley.
Aye.
Friesman.
Aye.
Pittman.
Aye.
Next is resolution 5723, approving the pay estimate number 3 for the Clearwell project. Brian, is that you again?
The construction work is continuing on the Clearwell project. There is a photo that I took from the last site visit on the packet. Majority of this is also, about half of it is material stored on site and the other half is for labor so far. They're continuing they started putting in the rock for the base slab and they're hoping to pour the base slab in the next couple weeks. They have all the piling in that they need for this project. They're continuing to dewater as they go.
How's the water?
They're keeping it low enough for them to work, so.
Any questions?
Appreciate the pictures too.
Motion to approve the pay estimate.
So moved.
Second.
Any other questions or comments? Clerk will call the roll.
Lumley.
Aye.
Friesman.
Aye.
Pittman.
Aye.
Knighton.
Aye.
Right. Next up then is the resolution 5823, approving the easement for the traffic signal location. Brian, again, you're busy tonight.
This is to traffic signal that was struck in front of 715 Gilbert earlier this year. Needs to be replaced, and we'd like to move it farther off of the right of way or off the street than what it is currently. There's not currently enough right of way for us to move it without an additional easement from the property owner. And so this was negotiated with the property owner for $1,500. And it will allow us to move it to the back of the sidewalk farther away from the travel portion of the lane, the highway. I recommend approval of 5823, approving the easement agreement with the owners of 715 Gilbert Street for traffic signal relocation.
I want to commend Brian, commend Brian for his tenacity in getting this done. It was no simple task.
This will be the traffic signals, the same as the one across the street.
That was previously ordered earlier this year.
It's ready to go. We're just waiting for this easement. Possibly next week or the week after, they could be in town, so.
That being said, I'd move to approve it.
Second.
Did I hear correctly that it is here or it will be here?
They have it. Yep.
Okay.
KMW has it. Yep.
Good.
Good. Can we think it was maybe gonna be longer than that, Corey?
Waiting probably longer than you think, Mayor.
All right.
That's exciting, though. I'm
Yeah,
glad
it'd be
see
nice to
that.
have that temporary one out of there.
Yes, will be.
All right, any further questions? Clerk will call the roll.
Friesman,
Aye.
Pittman,
Aye.
Knighton,
Aye.
Lumley.
Aye.
All right. Let's move on then to resolution 5923, which is approving the preliminary plans and specifications and setting the public hearing for the 2023 Mill Race parking lot project. Brian? Oh, John's gonna do this one. All right.
Yeah, I'll take this one. We've had many discussions on this project. And as you remember, the project will be funded using sponsored project dollars. And the good news is we received approval from IDALS and the DNR so that we can move ahead and go to letting. So we have the contract documents prepared and completed, so they're ready to go out. The project is the same as the last time we discussed it at the April 26th planning session. So what we have set up is letting on June 1st and a public hearing on June 5th. Just a couple of things to add. The completion dates, we actually have 2 completion dates on this project. The overall completion date will be October 27th of this year. But we have an interim completion date, which is based on working days. So once the contractor, moves in and closes the streets and the parking area to traffic and for public use, he has 30 working days to get it open back up. Then the rest of the, restoration, seating, that kind of stuff, that's when the final completion date comes into as being October 27th. So I'd recommend approval of resolution 5923, which sets the public hearing date as June 5th, and it approves the preliminary plans and specifications.
Questions for John?
So John, is that whole area down there gonna be closed that entire time, or are they gonna have some way of doing that project in a stepped fashion? That the businesses down there will still have some parking for, employees and customers?
Well, looked at it, and there's just not a good way to do a phase. It's just too small of an area, working area, to try to break it up. And so that's why we came up with a interim completion date based on working days. So when they do start it, then they don't have until the end of the contract period to get it done. They have 30 working days to get it open back up. So
Okay.
like, the other public parking areas would be available.
Are all the businesses down in that area aware of that whole area is gonna be shut down? Like the pub especially?
Well, I know when I talked to Nate, I did tell him we would try, but he also said that he understood and that it'd be an inconvenience, but people would still what he sees is people will get to his place. But then they also, he understood that it'd be a short time duration.
I guess I think it'd behoove everybody with the city to get on the phones and make sure that people down there, all those businesses along that block and the McQuillan property and all that stuff, understand how that project's gonna run.
I wasn't here when the Kmart and Tyson's was erected and how that whole traffic, I'm sure there was some learning curves on that when that was first set up. I kind of view it as this would be the same thing. My question is, can we come up with some sort of comp plan, whether it's a flyer, so the general public really, understands how that traffic's going to flow? I mean, we can dumb it down to, not the actual plans, but just here's how traffic's going to flow once it opens back up. And I think it solves Mr. Carey's issue of vehicles parking out in the middle of the road. And that was actually a pretty cool photo that he took. But I think any type of communication would benefit the public as we get ready to transition from, you go one way now, it's going to be closed. When we open it up, it's going to be totally different. So, I mean, you can still turn left in there, but how you get in and out, it's going to be different. And if you're coming in from a different direction, it's going to be different as well. So just how the flow of everything, that was just my comment.
That would be good as we get, like you say, close to opening date.
Yeah.
To have some information out in the public, so.
If that so the entire parking lot will be closed for the duration of the first 30 days of the project. Is that correct?
Yeah, 30 working days.
And what is our plan for the residents at McQuillan Place or Union House that have been parking back there? Now, like, are we going to allow overnight parking on Main Street? Where will they shift to in order to park? You know what I'm like, what's the plan? How do we know that those are our resident vehicles if they're going to be out on Main Street for extended periods?
There'd also be the parking area, directly north, behind the businesses of 200 block of Main. Also, on the other side, between the businesses on the 100 block and the press building, that parking area would be available.
True.
It's going to be an inconvenience for a while, but I'm glad that we have that 30 working days clause in there because when the beginning and the end of the problem is going to be. So
Yeah.
I think, sometimes there's just problems with progress. You just have to deal with it and
Mhm.
The good thing is we really have ample parking that's not too
Yeah.
terribly.
Yeah.
far away.
I would circle back to Patrick's comments, though, and I think we should start that process of information and education now,
Mhm.
not right before it opens up.
I mean, that's fine, but nobody's gonna pay it. Nobody's gonna, if you do it now, nobody's gonna remember by the time it opens up.
I
So
don't care. I'd say start it now and
Probably make some make something laminate and put it down our little kiosk that we have down there on the corner.
Mhm.
It has a map. We have a map of the city on there now. We could probably put a little.
Yep.
Split.
But I think to your comments, Mayor, I think in the long run, this is going to be nice. I mean, you're not going to have that
it's.
plan of getting run over as you're trying to cross the street there.
It'll be a good improvement. And like I say, it's gonna be an inconvenience, but that's what it's gonna
Yeah.
be, an inconvenience for a 30-day working days, 6 weeks, basically.
So then some of the really good news we had got on this project
Yeah.
was the fact that they approved all of the funding for the project can be SRF sponsored project. We thought it was gonna be somewhere between 50 and 60%, but it's 100% gonna be funded by SRF. So about $300,000 or so in local option sales tax that we won't have to spend. So that's very good news.
Yep.
Mhm.
All right, where are we at, Trudy? Do we need a motion?
I would second.
Right faster.
Any other questions? Clerk will call the roll.
Pittman,
Aye.
Knighton.
Aye.
Plumley,
Aye.
Friesman.
Aye.
All right, very good. Now we'll just see how many bids we get in by what, June 1st was the bid date? Good.
Yes, yes.
All right, thanks, John. Anybody receive any miscellaneous correspondence?
We did. We got a nice thank you from Philip for the wind chime that we sent for his mother's funeral. And also a nice thank you from the gal that asked for the water tower to be lit for Mental Health Awareness Month, was lit on the first day of May. So a couple nice thank yous.
Anybody else have any correspondence? Brad, anything on the attorney side?
Yes, on the June 5th meeting, we'll have the deed from Pure Prairie to the city for that former railroad right of way on the agenda for formal acceptance by the city. So if you remember back a while when we leased that property to them, they were obligated to convey that small parcel to the city as part of that lease agreement. The ball's been in their court and they're ready to move forward with formally transferring and closing on that parcel. So won't be on a planning session since we've worked through all that and discussed that at prior meetings, but it will be on the agenda for formal approval, and then we'll hope to close on that the week of June 5th.
Thanks for that information. Judy, anything from the clerk's side?
Of course, our next meeting is going to be a planning session on May 24th at 6 o'clock. And City Hall will be closed on Monday, May 29th for Memorial Day holiday.
It's nice. It's a fifth Monday. We didn't have to cancel any meetings or anything, huh?
Kind of thought that same thing. Yeah.
Steve, anything from city administrator's report?
Just a couple things. So this afternoon at 4 o'clock, we met with Brian, our Brian Doyle, our health insurance broker, and between Trudy, Ginny, Phoebe, and myself, we met with him and talked through where our current plan is. If we stayed fully self-funded, where that renewal would be, what it would look like if we moved to a Walmart fully funded plan, a Walmart partially self-funded plan, or even a health savings account. And so we talked through a lot of those details. And he's going to be putting together a summary sheet that kind of shows the general consensus was probably looking towards that partial self-funding plan. Because they'll actually keep benefits real close to what they are, just small bumps here and there between copay and prescription drug, but the premiums drop quite a bit. And it puts us in a bigger pool, but we're outside of our own pool. So we will have less control of things going forward, but the last 6 or 7 years, we haven't had that control, hasn't done us much good because we have such a small group that our experience has been pretty, high, I guess you could say. So this helps stabilize that. Right now we have a two-way plan where it's either single or family. We're gonna look at, switching that to possibly a four-way plan. I think that's probably what we'll present on Wednesday. Because if we're ever gonna make a switch to do that, now would be the time to do it as we're seeing some savings and whatnot. So we had some good discussion on there, I thought, and so we'll be looking to talk to Brian on that on our next workshop with the intent that we need to be moving on that by June 1st. I mean, actually, from the correct me if I'm wrong, Trudy, but I think from that workshop, we want to have a good idea and intent of the direction we're going. So we can start meeting with city staff on the changes and start that ball rolling for renewal, which will be right around the corner. So
'Cause this is a change, so we really need to make sure everybody attends, and we're looking at hopefully making that, I think, a mandatory meeting to make sure everybody gets there. So we'll have a couple different sessions there to cover the people that work second, third shift. So we want to make sure everybody can ask the questions of the expert. Brian really knows his stuff, so hopefully he can help guide us through that.
Does that have any changes in providers? As far as you, are you limited to who you can go to for your services?
Actually, that pool is gonna grow.
Okay,
Because right now I mean, it's pretty good. I mean, but we're somewhat limited. Actually going to this, we'll have a larger network.
good.
So the in and out, so right now it's in network 20%, out of networks 30%. And the new one will be 20 and 40. But our group will grow, you know. The ones excluded will be very few and far between, and they're at the 40% if it's out of network, but it'll still be, you know. Mayo, University of Iowa, all those things are still included in our network.
Are most of our local providers still included? Or are
All of
included?
those, it might add a couple, like, I have at least one chiropractor I know.
Okay,
Type of
Good,
thing.
'cause I think that, that's a big deal if you get a lower premium and all of a sudden you can't go to your doctor anymore.
Right, yeah, we're going to Walmart Blue Cross Blue Shield, so I mean, it's and it's the Alliance Select
Yeah.
plan, and so it's probably one of the largest ones in the country, and it's certainly, you know, known and accepted, and people, take that. So I think that it has the potential to be a very good change for
Good.
us, for both the city, employee, and everybody, honestly. Downtown LED retrofit, so you know how we've tried to budget to do the LED replacement in the lights downtown, and we keep pushing up because we spend our money elsewhere. Well, that really has worked out to be a benefit because we've now done a couple retrofits downtown that are a fraction of the cost of replacing all the tops. It's actually just a matter of retrofitting the existing top with an LED light in it. And so Corey and his crew, they put up 3 different ones right in front of Union House. And so you'll see two clear to blue colored ones there, and then there's a yellow one there. Is the yellow one right by the intersection of Clark?
North corner there, yeah, 1,
Okay.
2, 3. You can see it's just kind of different color orange.
So go by, take a look, offer us any thoughts and comments, but I mean, we're gonna be able to, we're gonna start doing them. We're just gonna start doing this because it's pretty affordable and it'll look nicer to get it all done rather than having different things. But if anybody has any thoughts or comments on the hue and the color, give us your best Norman Breitbach response.
I see Mark's on here. That'd be nice to have the public know, and they could comment
Mark
on that.
Pitts, that's not Mark Wicks.
Mark Pitso, yeah.
Last thing I'll mention is we finally have our contractor in town doing the sidewalk and the finishing work on 4th Avenue.
I see they
Right.
poured out a bunch of those today.
Yeah, it was past the 11th hour.
Yes, it was.
And
So what about the groundwork? Are they gonna, when are they gonna do that? Cause that still is, there's a lot of groundwork that needs to be done too.
Done by Friday.
Goes like this. Is that gonna be taken care of also?
He said by Friday.
I didn't hear it.
Friday.
Friday, good. Yeah, that was. Like you said, it's been a while.
it has been. I mean, we were taking steps. The bonding company phone number was in our speed dial. And then things started happening, so we'll see what happens, just, year and a half late. So, but that's all I have for tonight.
Anybody have any board or commissioner committee reports tonight? Not, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
Good night.
Hi,
Request
John.
Hi, John.
light the water tower,
Oh, sure, cool.
orange.